workforce is changing dramatically. I mean, we've got, a whole lot of new generations coming into workspace, digital generations, screen ages, a lot of names that in terms that they've used to describe the way that the new millennium generation are entering the workspace. And their demands are completely different in terms of IT. Traditionally what would happen, and I remember when I started work and, we arrived at an organization, we were given a PC and we were only too happy to get a PC to start working on. These days, what's happening is the workforce is a lot more demanding. They're saying, give me a tool that will allow me to be productive. Give me a tool that is going to allow me to get more out of my free time and generate a far better result and a product for the company. So that's the workforce. The workplace is very much a work from anywhere. I mean, we've seen it now today when we continue in level 3 lockdown in South Africa. We don't have an option. We have to work remotely. We have to make sure that we are social distancing, and it means that we've got to create those tools that allow us to interact a lot more with people with the distance, the physical distance, hopefully be able to get some kind of stimulation from visual stimulus as well as sound. And that's critical. So redesigning a workspace in your potentially home office is quite critical. And people are getting more demanding about it now. The things that they never really considered in an office space, because everyone looked the same. They're now looking at their home office and they're saying, I need to make this a lot more comfortable. I need to make this an environment that I'm happy to sit down in. I need to make sure that I'm free of interruption. I need to make sure that I've got good connectivity, and I need to make sure that I can use all the tools that are required for me to get my job done. I would say it's definitely part of it. So what we're looking at is things like AI, things like user interface and predictive operation of devices before you actually require input from them. So the PC itself is dozens of years old, and as we've learned a lot about these devices and the way that people need to interact with them over time. Small little enhancements that have come along the way that have made it easier for us to work with them and interface with them, like switching the device on and sensing when you're there without actually having to push a button, or adjusting sound for ambient environments and outside noise and disturbances and things like that. Those are some basic things that are starting to come through and become mainstream in PCs themselves. And a lot of that's got to do with building artificial intelligence into the devices. Dell's named this a product, and we launched this with all of our notebooks at the moment, and it's called the Dell Optimizer. So the Dell Optimizer looks at the working environment, analyzes the way that the individual operates, switches the device on when it's required, make sure that you're ready for a meeting, connected in any way that you require in terms of a meeting and interacting with other people. And, things like starting up applications. It can also balance the different resources that are required to run applications. So if you're running certain applications that are incredibly memory hungry and you need to get responses quite quickly, it can automatically pick that up and actually serve that forward to the user. So there are things that are coming in, and there is a lot of stuff coming in the future that will make the way that devices and people interact with devices a lot quicker and easier. I think the key thing is to define what roles you're trying to service. So, one device fits all is no longer relevant in this environment, right? So you need to actually look at the type of role, functionality you require from the device. I use a very simple example, but someone in a creative environment would need a larger screen and high resolution and true RGB color on their device. Someone in an accounting environment would potentially need multiple screens that would allow them to scroll across many rows and columns of data. So that's just a very simple example. But look at the user themselves and decide what technology makes sense in their environment is a starting point. And then I suppose the key things are making sure that there are enough ports, making sure that the connectivity is as good as it potentially can be. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to connect into a meeting and not being able to dial in. Dell's just come out with a very interesting study regarding the lack of performance on your device and what impact it has on employee morale. And we are seeing that. I mean, I'm seeing that in my team. If they start working and devices aren't working, or they're getting frustrated, because they're not able to connect, or they're unable to access some applications, it's tough enough and stressful enough in this current environment with lockdown to just get your job done. But if technology is not supporting you, that becomes even more difficult. So it's about getting more proactive about repairing the device, as you say, seamless, no touch repair on a device, making sure that the device works for you rather than you trying to work on the device.